Hello everybody, and welcome back to Norwegian Pinoy cooking. It's been 9 months since my last video. It's been a few tough months. My wife gave birth to our daughter Thea Eline, and 1 week after the birth my wife's parents got hospitalized with COVID-19. Unfortunately, her mom passed away a month after birth, and that was in May. And in July, my wife's dad also passed away. So she's had a really rough year. It is actually now 31st of December, New Year's Eve 2021, and I am gonna make my wife's favorite dessert. One of her favorite dessert, which is a Norwegian dessert. It's called Krumkake with multicrem. Basically, it's sort of a flat cake, and you fill it with cloudberry whipped cream. There's whipped cream with sugar and cloudberries in it. It's really delicious. Normally it looks like this. I'm gonna put up a picture, and you make it with one of those things. So you grab it off the frying thingy, and then you roll it really fast so you get like a cone shape. Unfortunately, these things is a nightmare to use, I think. So what I usually do, I just take a cup like this, and I take it out of the fryer, and I quickly just fold it on the back of one of those cups. And what you get is a really nicely shaped cone cake instead of these things like this. And you get a more cream, and it's just as tasty, and it's just my way of doing it. The recipe for this is really, really simple. The original recipe says 4 eggs. I use 5. The reason for me using 5 is because egg is the binding ingredient, and if you don't use enough eggs, it will look like this when you fry it. I will put in a picture showing how it looks like. If you use enough eggs, it will look like this. For it to fold easily and not break apart and stuff when you fold it, you need to use enough egg as a binding ingredient. So I use 5 eggs for this portion, and 200 grams of wheat flour. Any flour should do, not self-raising. There should be no raising agent in this at all. It's not supposed to be raising. 200 grams of sugar. If you like them really sweet, the cake, you can use like 250 or 300 grams of sugar. It's up to you. It doesn't really matter. And then you need to use butter, unsalted or salted butter. I think the recipe says unsalted. I prefer the one with salt, because then you get a little bit more taste into the cakes. Salt and sugar, it's really good together. So 200 grams of butter as well. What you need to do with the butter is you need to cut it into small cubes, and then you need to put it on the stove, and you need to melt it, or just put it to the melting point. And then once it starts to melt, you need to cool it down until it is roughly liquid, like this. See here, I'm not gonna get water in the eggs. So it should be liquid eggs, cool down. I will probably heat this up a little bit, because it's supposed to be, I think it's actually okay. Heat it up a little bit because it's supposed to be runny but cold, or cool down. And one way you can do that is having a small bowl with a little bit of water in the bottom, just to cool down the pan. And then you just add like a really thin slice of cold butter into the mix. Let that cold butter soak up the heat from the old butter while you stir it. So in the end, you end up with a quicker cool down of the butter. It should not be lumpy or anything like that. So the first step to making this cake mixture is to have the egg in, and then you need to make an eggnog. Eggnog is like a mix of eggs, whipped eggs, and sugar. That is all it is. You just make it, you whip it until it's stiff. And I have, fortunately, my mother actually bought me a kitchen machine. So the first step is to whip this eggnog. And then you're supposed to fold in the flour using a spatula. Something like this. This is a spatula. You're supposed to fold it in. But for my kitchen machine, I have what's called a softbeater. See, it's flexible and it can do the same job. Basically, you need to sort of mix in the flour without beating out the air of the mixture. After the mixture is done, you need to set it aside for about half an hour and let it rest. Another thing that you need to have in this is cardamom. Half a teaspoon, not a eating spoon, half a teaspoon. It's just for flavor. So I'm gonna start this off with making the eggnog. Start mixing the eggs. So you need to add the sugar gradually as you mix it. I use fine grained sugar, not like rough sugar. Just add it so that it stirs it while you add it. Once all the sugar is added, you can increase the speed a bit. You just need to whip it until it's thick. Eggnog is coming together, and I reheated the butter a bit. It's still cold, but it's more runny the way it should be, because it's easier to mix it correctly in without getting any lumps of butter. If you use a kitchen machine, you need to stop the mixture after a while. You see, sometimes there will be eggs, like still pieces of eggs left over here, or it will collect in the bottom, or if you have a machine that doesn't rotate, you need to sort of mix it together a bit away from the bottom, and then you need to just continue blending it. You can tell your meringue and your eggnog is pretty okay when you do like this with a kitchen machine, and you see that the mixture is not just running off, it's slowly pouring off. Now I need to mix in the butter. I would say the butter here is about 7 degrees or something like that. Put it on again, low speed. And then I'll just stir the butter. Still cold. Then I'll just add that in slowly. And just give that a good blend. The thing with the butter is if it's too warm, it will make the dough split. I think this looks okay for now. I will add the cardamom to the flour before I mix it in. Half a teaspoon. Okay, then I'll just remove this. Get all the bits and pieces. And then we add this. Okay. And if you use one of these, don't use high speeds. Okay, so you start adding the flour bit by bit. My wife is taking care of our little one. She don't want to sleep. The module I have for this kitchen machine is called a softbeater. Basically, it works almost like a spatula, and it goes from edge to edge, and it just folds in everything. It looked a little bit in the start like it split, but as you can see, the mixture is coming together really nicely. And the mixture is supposed to be so thick that you actually need to use 2 spoons to get it into the mixture. And I'm using number 1 on my kitchen machine. I'm not using full speed or anything like that, and do not use the whipper because it will make it split. So use a fold, because in the end it's supposed to be added like this. The iron looks almost like a waffle iron. This is my iron, and it has some patterns on it, and these cakes become really thin. See here, the pattern is not very deep. And it's the same on both sides. I usually smear a little bit on the... It's non-stick, but I usually smear a little bit to easier get it out. Because when you need to fold it, you need to be really fast, because it cools down and becomes hard, like a biscuit, instantly almost. So you have to be really fast. See, there's a little bit more flour here. So it's not a dough, but it's almost a dough. I think that is pretty good. I'll just take it up a little bit, turn it off. So my wife just came down and she had her tail with her. Apparently she don't want to sleep. So do not scrape this off, which is the non-mixed part. Just scrape the mixed parts and get that in. Don't miss a bit. This is almost like one cake thingy. Okay. This is now done. We'll just make sure everything is sort of at the bottom. Put it into a different container and then I will fry it later. So I use a cup like this. This is what I found to be sort of the okay size. If you have glasses and the glasses look something like this, these edges will make the Krumkake sort of break or get holes. So it has a round edge here, it makes it easier. So basically what you just do is you put it on top of a plate like that, and you just transfer it directly from there to there, and you just use your hands to fold it around, and then you just let it cool down until it's stiff, and you just pick it up, and you have like a cup-sized portion of it that you can just use. Now this is light in green, and I'm going to show you an example. When you let the mix rest, it becomes stiffer, almost like close to a dough, no longer runny. And that is when you can fry with it. Don't whip it or anything, you can beat the air out of it. There, it just went from red to green. Let's check it. First, just check the color. It should be golden brown. As you can see, you get openings, so I did not use enough of the mixture. It's soft now, but you move it quickly over here, and then you just press it down. It's easier when you have a round edge like this. Change my spoon to be a little bit bigger because the previous one there was a little bit too small for this mixture. Try to get it in the middle so that it evenly goes out. Press it down a bit so that it quickly spreads to the edge. It's kind of important to get it to the center so that it folds, sort of fills the whole thingy. Now I didn't use butter. I'm just gonna test and see if the folding, if the spread is different when I do that. Most likely it will stick to the top. We'll see. Once you get to a certain point like here, you can try to press this and it's already set. And it's literally no point in trying to refold it because it's already too late. And that is basically how I make my Krumkake. A nice shape that you can just fill. So the second part of this dessert is to make cream, whipped cream. So I use 3 deciliter of cream, and the cloudberry is kind of sour, so it's important to use a little bit extra sugar. So I have 200 grams of sugar here. In this case I have cloudberry, which I bought at the shop, and it has been defrosted. When you defrost it, it has a little bit of fluids in it, and you do not want that fluid in the cream because it will make the cream watery. So you basically have to drain the fluids away from the berries first, so the berries are as dry as possible. When you make the cream, it's important to you have to start the whipping before you add the sugar, otherwise you will get lumps of sugar. So add the sugar gently while you have it mixing. The thing to remember is when you whip cream, it can easily become butter. You whip it too long. You have to pay attention to it. You see here it's starting to get like waves. That means it's just gonna check it now. Still not there. Cream is in the sides. Need to get it to the middle. Let's see now. Yeah. So it's not dripping from the... You can tell. See? Push it to the side and it holds the form. So this whipped cream is done. Always let the kids lick this. Even if the kid is 43 years old. Now, the next step is to fold in the cloudberries. And I won't use the machine for this, otherwise it will crush the cloudberries and you want the chunks of them. So about that, I need to lift it a bit. Here. I think I'll just start with the one pack. And we'll see if it's... See, it's already a bit runny. If I hadn't removed most of the water, the fluids, it would destroy the cream, and the cream would just be a watery mess. That is how you make cloudberry cream. You can see, because I removed the water, it still keeps its shape when you stir it around. And all you have to do now is serve it.